takes the court as the #1 team in the country after an epic win Saturday against Duke before a record crowd of more than 35,000 fans. It was a game for the ages. Rashid Suleiman of Duke tied the game at 78 at the end of regulation. And then Jeremy Grant took over in overtime, scoring 8 of the 13 Syracuse points. One last chance for Duke, but Quinn Cook's shot was off the mark, and the Cuse won by 2. Notre Dame also went to overtime Saturday at home against Boston College. Eric Atkins, the game-winning 3 in the final second. Tonight, Notre Dame takes on Syracuse in an ACC battle, followed by a Big 12 matchup, number 16 Iowa State and number 19 Oklahoma State. Welcome everybody to Big Monday, presented by Verizon. You're watching the ACC on ESPN. Tonight, Syracuse puts its new #1 ranking on the line as the Orange host the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, a school with a history of knocking off top-ranked teams. They've done it 8 times in the history of their basketball program. Syracuse and Wichita State, the only remaining undefeated teams in the country. The Cuse, a school record 21-0 to start the year, 8-0 in the ACC, leading Virginia. And Notre Dame is 3-6, like the Orange, the Irish, in their first year in the ACC. Hi, everybody. Sean McDonough along with Jay Billis, joined in a moment by Janine Edwards. Delighted to have you with us. Everybody in this building still talking about that game played here 48 hours ago. Jim Boeheim, the coach here for forever, 34-year history of the Carrier Dome. He says there's never been a better game in this building. So his job tonight, Jay, get his team refocused fast.
And that can be difficult sometimes after an epic game like that, to move on after a win. Now, it's a high-class problem to have, and the problem you want to have is to be able to move on after a win. But Syracuse is going to have to defend very well in this game against Notre Dame. And this is an excellent defensive team that does a great job along the back line of the zone because they're long and they are athletic, and they do a terrific job of blocking shots and protecting the paint, and still doing a good job of getting out to shooters. And Rakeem Christmas in the middle, an excellent shot blocker. See C.J. Fair, and then along the top, Michael Benajay getting out to contest a three-point shot. You get a piece of it, a deflection, and all of a sudden, Syracuse is off to the races. This is a team that does a really good job of scoring in transition off of turnovers, and they are excellent on the offensive glass. But they're going to have to get out to shooters because Notre Dame, Pat Connaughton especially, can shoot it.
Last time Syracuse was #1 in the country 2 years ago, they went to South Bend. Notre Dame beat them. It's a tough task tonight for the Irish. They played the last 10 games without Jaren Grant, their outstanding guard, one of the best players in the country, but still enough talent to pull off the upset tonight.
No, Notre Dame's got some good players. Eric Atkins is playing at a very high level, but Mike Ray told us at the shoot-around today, Eric Atkins, Pat Connaughton, and Garrick Sherman, his veteran players, they have all got to play well, and 2 of them probably have to play great, and they're capable of it if Syracuse doesn't get out to them and find them.
Let's go to Janine Edwards.
Well, Sean, moments after their win over Duke, in the locker room, Jim Boeheim told his players to turn the page. They had 48 hours to prepare for Notre Dame, who, by the way, beat Duke last month. Boeheim stressed rest and relaxation and hydration, but he said the mental aspect of preparing for this game was the most important of all. He said the atmosphere won't even be close. His players have to bring the same energy and focus they had Saturday night. Tyler Ennis told me practicing on this court yesterday went a long way in clearing Duke from their minds.
Well, it won't be a record crowd, but they expect about 26,000 here tonight. And we're underway. Rakeem Christmas for Syracuse, clad in white, controlled the tip. Tyler Ennis, the freshman point guard, runs the show. This is C.J. Fair. Ennis.
Notre Dame starting off in a zone of their own with an odd man front up top.
Fair lost the ball. Eric Atkins all the way, and the Irish first on the board.
That's exactly the start that Notre Dame wanted to get off to. And this team can do a good job of controlling tempo. They're not going to shoot quick unless they have an open shot or an easy one.
Irish have not won a road game this year. 0-5 on the road. Fair bounced it inside, flicked away by Sherman. So 2 turnovers on 2 possessions for Syracuse.
And there's the question about whether Syracuse is mentally into this one, whether they have moved on. Because 2 lazy turnovers to start this first half, and all of a sudden Notre Dame is getting off to a good start in the Dome.
Sherman at the free throw line. His pass off the hand of the freshman Steve Astoria. Steve couldn't handle it. Trevor Cooney the other way for the Orange. Fair. In and out and rebounded by the sophomore Zach August.
In that last possession for Notre Dame, they got the ball into Garrett Sherman in the middle. And you always say, hey, you got to get it in the middle, but it depends on who you get it to. It is not an easy place to have the ball because that zone collapses on you. And you have to make a smart decision. Look opposite, find an open person. Otherwise, you can turn it over.
August will try it from the free throw line. The rebound down to Ennis, one of the best freshmen in the country.
Syracuse is not going to guard either Sherman or August if they catch the ball up by the free throw line. They're going to give them that shot and recover to it late. Pat Connaughton is probably going to have to spend some time there because he can really provide them some difficulties.
Fair fouled on the arm. And he'll go to the free throw line. Fouls on Pat Connaughton, his first. Connaughton part of the starting lineup with Atkins, Astoria, August, and Sherman. For Syracuse, Ennis, Cooney, Fair, Grant, and Christmas. Grant coming off a career high 24 points in the win over Duke. Also tied his career best with 12 rebounds. Fair had a career high 28 points, 5 rebounds.
Yeah, the only difference between those two lineups is Notre Dame is going to change from time to time, and Syracuse hardly ever does. These guys were Iron Men against Duke in that overtime game. Most of them went 38 minutes at least.
C.J. Fair played the full 45 minutes against Duke. Connaughton, he went the distance for 45 minutes in that win against Boston College on Saturday in South Bend. Syracuse ball.
Connaughton went in there so quickly. He had a lot more time than that. He could have just pulled up and shot an easy little jumper.
The win against BC snapped a 3-game losing streak for Notre Dame. They've still dropped 6 of their last 8. They're 4-6 since Jaron Grant went out. Academically separated from the university is the way Notre Dame turns it, and that's a deep 2 for Ennis, known here as Ennis the Menace, and he is menacing to the opponents.
Well, that was a really nice screen against the zone by Rakeem Christmas. He got Vastoria and just gave a little bit of space for Ennis to get that shot off. You can screen a zone, it is very, very effective. And there's the length of Grant to knock that ball away and deflect it. And take a look at this ball is being reversed. You can see Christmas set a screen right there. And that means the wing, Pat Connaughton's got to step up there. If he does, Ennis just passes to the opposite wing for an open shot. That was a really smart play by Rakeem Christmas to screen the zone. Notre Dame wants to do that as well. They want to set a lot of ball screens for Eric Atkins against this zone, but that means they're going to have to overload it on the opposite side.
Well, that first shot by Vastoria hit the rim, so the officials ignored the shot clock buzzer, and now a chance for a 3-point play. Foul on C.J. Fair. Brian Kersey, one of the officials, going over to the scores table. Shot clock buzzer went off, but clearly the shot by Vastoria hit the rim, and it should have been a reset of the shot clock, so the bucket counts for Sherman. Foul on Fair, his first, and Garrick Sherman will have a chance to give Notre Dame the lead.
Well, Sean, you could feel exactly what Janine Edwards was talking about. There's not a lot of excitement in this building being brought by the crowd or energy, so that means the team's going to have to bring it. And that can be difficult. With Notre Dame playing a very deliberate style, it's not, what did Mike Bray say today? It's not quite the burn, but it's close.
Yes.
A flicker. You know, it's hard to generate a rhythm or some energy, so the players are going to have to bring it on defense more than anything.
Trevor Cooney missed a 3, rebounded by Rakeem Christmas. He had 10 boards against Duke. Fair off the mark. Eric Atkins the rebound. He's having a terrific season for the Fighting Irish. 14 points per game. One of the best assist turnover ratios in the country.
Zach August staying behind that zone. He can be open. You get the ball in the middle and look down along this baseline to the short corner. Now they're going to a little 1-4 set, it looks like.
Deep 3 for Atkins, wide right. Ennis goes with Cooney. Ennis goes to the bucket and scores as Atkins retreated.
Everybody for Notre Dame down below the free throw line. Then when that ball was slapped back out, when Syracuse got it, it was just an easy break for them. There was no defensive balance for Notre Dame.
Connaughton. Now Atkins. Asturia, highly touted freshman out of the Philadelphia area, played at St. Joe's Prep, and he buries a three.
Just getting into the teeth of that zone, collapses it a bit, and then you can kick it to an open shooter, Vastoria. And he is unafraid. He shot that in great rhythm. Nobody really got out to put a hand up because they were all inside of the lane.
Bad pass. Ennis tried to throw it into the lane. It got deflected away.
Well, you don't see that very often. That was not a good pass by Tyler Ennis because Rakeem Christmas was open underneath. That was the pass to make, not the one at the high post.
He has turned it over, Jay, 30 times in their first 21 games.
It's really remarkable. Last 5 minutes of close games, he hasn't turned it over at all.
Sherman lost it off somebody's foot, it appeared. Ennis dropped it off for Cooney, and he's bumped by Atkins. His first. And a timeout.
Well, it's a lot easier said than done. You get the ball into the teeth of that defense and kick it out. And Steve Vastoria was ready to shoot when the ball arrived.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Verizon. Reality check. Verizon's 4G LTE is the most reliable and in more places than any other 4G network.
Syracuse undefeated 20-0. Number 1 in the country. They get it around to Connaughton, and he buries a three. It's a good start for the Irish. So now a 3-on-1. Here's Cooley. Takes it in and throws it down. They find Connaughton. Same spot he hit one earlier. As number 1 goes down. Syracuse undefeated no more.
2 years ago in South Bend, the Irish, the upset of then undefeated and number 1 Syracuse, trying to do it in Syracuse 2 years later. Here's Janine.
Well, Sean, you know, Mike Bray met with his players last night and asked them, what are your memories of that win? The players said, well, we controlled the tempo, we kept Syracuse in the half court, and we played like we had nothing to lose. Eric Atkins told me they intend to bring that same mentality tonight.
Trevor Cooney buries a three. And that gets the crowd engaged really for the first time tonight. Syracuse already 3 turnovers. They had only 8 for the entire overtime game here Saturday against Duke. So well played by both teams Saturday, including the fact that each team had 8 turnovers.
And both teams made shots. You know, oftentimes in college when teams make shots to talk about how the defense messed up, but They made tough shots, especially C.J. Fair. He made a lot of difficult shots.
Astoria. August got it back after he missed a shorty. And it's a held ball. It'll stay with the Fighting Irish with almost the complete shot clock, 33 seconds.
So Zach August just rushed that shot. It couldn't have been easier or closer to the basket. And when you've got Rakeem Christmas in there, Jeremy Grant to block and change shots, you tend to rush it.
August out. And freshman Demetrius Jackson has come in, McDonald's All-American. Three freshmen. Mike Bray says how we fared down the stretch is going to be largely a product of how much more the freshmen can give us. They've been coming on in recent games. Sherman got rid of it quickly and scored over Rakeem Christmas.
Well, that was pretty. To get the ball inside, Sherman got double teamed and was able to kick it out and then repost it. And Syracuse going to a little 1-4 set to the opposite postal dive, and they do such a good job of wedging inside to get offensive rebounds. That's what they did to get that first rebound off this set, and then kicked it out to Cooney for that offensive rebound three.
Christmas short with the turnaround. It got batted around to Jackson. Was born in South Bend.
Jackson's a terrific athlete. Mike Bray said today he's an athlete who's learning how to be a basketball player. He'll get there, but he said he was searching right now, which a lot of freshmen do at this time of year.
Demetrius, the 16th McDonald's All-American to play at Notre Dame, the 5th under Coach Bray. Running hook drops for Sherman. Having an outstanding senior season, averaging 14 and a half and 8 rebounds per game. Has 7 points already.
Jim Boeheim has to be disappointed with how easily the ball has gotten inside against his defense.
Jeremy Grant, along with the elbow jumper. Christmas and Sherman battled, and Sherman won the battle. Boy, the contrast to Saturday night, Jay, we were both here Saturday night, is jarring.
Yeah, the energy level, but also Notre Dame is feeding into that because they're taking their time with the ball. They're playing zone on the other end, and they've really not allowed Syracuse to establish any rhythm.
Sherman short from in close. Syracuse won that game Saturday despite the fact that they attempted only 4 3-point field goals in the game. They made 3 of the 4. Duke made 15 threes. They're going to count the bucket for Grant? I don't believe so. Jamie Lucky and Tony Green gesturing at each other, and they're going to call the foul on the drive. Notre Dame off to a terrific start, led by the big man, 6'11", Derek Sherman. Back on the campus of Syracuse University, the Orange ascended to #1 in the polls out today after 8 weeks of Arizona being #1 and Syracuse #2. The Wildcats dropped down 1 spot after their last-second loss at home Saturday night against California. It was quite a Saturday for the Boeheims. They come here into the Carrier Dome. The game played before the incredible crowd. Vanessa Williams sings the national anthem beautifully. They win an epic game. They go back to their house, have a great meal served by one of the great restaurants in America, Asti. Then they watch Arizona lose, and a big cheer went up, we're told, in the Boeheims' living room.
And all of a sudden they were #1.
They were #1. They knew that was going to be a nice way to finish the night for Syracuse. And we asked Jim about being #1 before the game. As Cooney buries the 3, he said it's great. It's an honor. 345 teams in Division I college basketball when you're #1. Obviously, that's quite a statement.
Well, it must be nice for Jim Boeheim to see Trevor Cooney shooting the ball well again. He was 2 for 2 from 3 against Duke. He had 14 points. He's knocked down a couple threes from the left side in this one. He can really stretch the floor. He's got to shoot well, I think, for Syracuse to be able to win a national championship.
Sherman blocked by Christmas.
Boy, that was a great pass, and it just shows you how athletic and quick off the floor that Syracuse defenders are, especially Jeremy Grant. That was a big-time block.
Now Ennis. The floater. Just a little bit short. And Connaughton the other way.
Well, that last play, Sean, it shows you we can talk all we want to about the strategy of going against this zone. You know, you get it into the middle and you throw it to the short corner, get along the baseline, keep somebody behind the zone. But then you've got to deal with their athleticism and their length. And it is impossible to simulate that in practice to get used to it. You see it a couple times a year, and it can be jarring.
Sherman started to drive and got bumped by Christmas as the shot clock was ticking down under 5 seconds.
A terrific pass by Connaughton to Sherman inside, and normally that would be a bucket, and instead it's taken away. And here's Trevor Cooney. You let him get his feet set. You know, that's like a game of horse for him. Usually he's such a good runner. You know, he runs to get into position. He sets his feet so well, but if you let him catch and shoot, you might as well just mark it down.
Entering the night, he had 59 of Syracuse's 109 made threes for the year. As you said, they don't have a lot of perimeter shooting threats, so they rely heavily on him for the free ball.
Just having him out there, even when he's not hitting shots, just having him out there and being a threat to do it opens some things up for other people. Just look how much ground that Jeremy Grant covered there.
Tom Knight's in for Notre Dame, number 25. Michael Benajay, number 3, in for Syracuse. And by Musakita, who just came in as well for the Cuse, grabbed that rebound.
C.J. Fair and Jeremy Grant on the wings of that zone. And there's Cooney again. Jeez.
Another 3 for Trevor Cooney. Redshirt sophomore from Wilmington, Delaware.
He gets hot. You want to keep going to him because he can hit 7 or 8 of those in a game.
DJ Beecham, the other talented freshman Mike Bray was talking about, missed his first shot, and then Cooney's pass went by Benajay. Another Syracuse turnover.
Jim Boeheim telling Trevor Cooney, use 2 hands. Why the one-handed pass? But he catches, he's ready to shoot. And now he is seeing a much bigger basket after hitting a couple. He lands in the same spot with all 10 toes pointed to the rim. When he puts up a lot of shots and he concentrates on his technique and his form on every shot. I watched him a lot in practice on Friday and was really impressed with the way he approached his work.
Atkins throws up a floater. Knight tried to keep it alive for the Irish. Benajay now transfer from Duke.
McRae going to stick with this zone.
Cooney feeling it, and why not?
Jim Boeheim talked to Janine Edwards about his team bringing energy. All they really need to do is bring Trevor Cooney. He's got 4 threes in this ball game against Notre Dame's zone. He's got 12 points to match Notre Dame's output for the game. And Trevor Cooney, one of the great shooters in the country, he has been the difference in this game. 4 of 5 from 3. And when a great shooter, Sean, gets it going, it's amazing how you want everything looks like it's going in after that. And you know, a little shot fake, you can get almost anything you want now.
9-0 run for Syracuse. 7.5 minutes to go, first half. Connaughton. Good defense by Fair. He deflected it to Cooney.
There was a good fake by Connaughton, but that middle closed up so quickly when he drove in there. This defense does a great job of moving as the ball moves.
Fair off target. Musakita. Grant then had a tip after the Musakita miss. Musakita short again. Connaughton yanks it down.
Syracuse came away empty, but that's what the Orange do. They go after the offensive glass. It's a team that thrives off of transition, scoring off turnovers, and getting second shots. If you're going to play in zone, it makes it a little bit more difficult to get blockout responsibilities. You can certainly still do it, but it's a little more difficult.
Clock at 3. Connaughton underneath. Sherman blocked by Grant, and they ruled a shot clock violation. Mike Bray wanted a foul. He's not going to get that call. Jamie Lucky, Brian Kersey, Tony Green, the officials tonight. Sluggish start for the #1 team in the country. Trevor Cooney has brought the Orange to life.
Chris Cotter in studio, 6th-ranked Villanova, and Xavier in Philadelphia tonight. Javon Pinkston, one of his 3 first-half three-pointers, and right now the 6th-ranked Wildcats with a 6-point lead, about 6.5 left to go in the first half on that one. Sean, Jay?
All right, Chris, thank you. Here Notre Dame has gone nearly 6 minutes without a field goal. And the #1 team in the country, Syracuse, has taken a 6-point lead. Here's Janine Edwards.
Well, Sean and Jay, I was just over at Notre Dame's huddle, and Mike Bray is very, very happy with the tempo of the game so far and the way they're sort of imposing their tempo will on Syracuse. but they need to be more aware of Cooney, where he is at all times, and he wants them to do a better job getting that first miss. They've got to do a better job on the boards.
Notre Dame now going man-to-man. Demetrius Jackson now on Cooney, and you cannot help off of him.
C.J. Fair to Cooney. He used his free arm to shed Astoria. And he's not just a three-point shooter. He had a step back two there, a little help from the free arm.
He has worked on his total game. He's a much better ball handler than he was last season. Astoria got on him on a switch. He's done a really nice job also of, instead of moving side to side when he catches a relocation pass and drives it, he's starting to go by people. And that's what he needs to do. He's an excellent cutter, one of the best cutters in the country that I've seen.
And good defense at the other end by Bai Musakita, who's an excellent defender in the interior. C.J. Fair scored in the lane. And Janine reported about Mike Bray's pleasure with the tempo, Jay, but if they fall way behind, it's going to be harder to maintain the slow pace.
There's no question.
Demetrius Jackson, and now Eric Atkins with Connaughton, Sherman, and Astoria. Nice drive by Jackson. His shot might have been deflected. He worked hard to get it back. Astoria rattles one in from the corner.
Guys for Notre Dame that you have to worry about in the zone are Astoria, Connaughton, and Atkins. Now, if they drive in and can make a shot over the outstretched arms of Bai Musakita or C.J. Fair, that's fine. But you can't let them have step-in threes. Those are the kind of things that can beat you.
Tough to know much about Astoria. Just a freshman, but perhaps he plays his best against the highest quality opponent. As Sherman scores and has a chance for three. Astoria scored 9 points in their win against Duke, which is their biggest win of the season, and that was without Jaron Grant right after they found out that he was academically separated from the university for a mistake that he made. Super Tuesdays tomorrow. It's a doubleheader. Struggling Ohio State no longer the top 25 is at Iowa, and then the SEC matchup Missouri and Florida. The Gators now number 3. Terrific Super Tuesday doubleheader tomorrow night.
And how much did Ohio State need that win at Wisconsin? Both those teams needed it. But Ohio State able to make a play at the end because of Aaron Craft's defense on Trayvon Jackson.
About time he started playing some defense. Benajay drives home a three.
So Sean, if Michael Benajay can come in, make open shots, and do a good job defensively, and get into that rotation where he can play some more minutes and give Ennis and Cooney a little bit of a breather, that can be a big development for Syracuse as they head toward postseason.
And not a very deep team. Benajay's just about it in terms of backcourt depth. Sherman had trouble with the pass from Atkins. Went to his knees to get it back for the Irish. And Connaughton along with a three. Bodies collide underneath. Sherman emerged.
Benajay didn't come away with the ball, but he really went after it both on the floor and on the glass.
Bad pass by Sherman. Ennis the other way. Benajay just threw it right to Astoria, who had numbers 3 on 2, but looked behind. Connaughton lost it on the drive, but it's August in the right place.
Jim Boeheim was not at all pleased with Michael Benajay on that turnover. You think he still doesn't care? I beg to differ.
Chris Cotter in studio. Miles, the halftime report coming up. We're going to take a look back at some of the great games in college basketball history. Certainly Syracuse and Duke on Saturday among them. But Jay Williams and Seth Greenberg break down the greatest games they've ever seen. Coming up, Sean. Jay.
All right, Chris, thank you. Syracuse leading by 9. First meeting for these two schools as members of the ACC. Each school in its first year in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Notre Dame 18 years in the Big East. Zach August missed the first free throw. Sophomore from Marlborough, Massachusetts. Another player Mike Bray says is coming along nicely in recent games. In fact, he had 10 points and 8 rebounds in that win Saturday against Boston College. At least 7 rebounds in each of the last 3 games for the Irish. 0 for 2 from the line.
One of the things, Sean, Syracuse has to do a better job of is protecting its paint. Notre Dame's been able to get the ball into the paint. And they've also gotten some second chance opportunities, which Duke did a very good job of. Duke really got a lot of offensive rebounds because how they could spread the floor.
Jeremy Grant fouled as he went to the bucket. Thursday night, it's the Thursday night showcase, and it's another doubleheader on ESPN. How about Cincinnati, now ranked number 7 in the country, hosting UConn. Then the Pac-12 battle, Oregon and Arizona. Oregon, like Ohio State, like Wisconsin, scuffling after an excellent start. Arizona dropped down just the 1 spot in the rankings after suffering its first loss. The Thursday night showcase, by the way, is presented by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Watch that action on Watch ESPN as well. First point rather for Jeremy Grant.
You mentioned Cincinnati. They have to lead the nation in playing hard. I haven't seen a team play harder than Cincinnati all season long.
And you've seen all 345 teams and measured. Do you have a barometer by which you measure how hard the teams play?
There are 351 teams, and I've seen them all.
I don't believe that's correct. I will have a friendly wager with you on that.
We're not friendly, though.
You already owe me after our friendly wager on our respective alma maters game here on Saturday night. Jeremy Grant couldn't score inside. Syracuse by 10. You handled that remarkably well, though, by the way.
I always do.
Atkins. Back to Connaughton. He's had a quiet half. Trying to be less quiet as he went right through that zone and earned a couple of free throws. C.J. Fair called for his second foul. See if Jim Boeheim keeps him in with just under 2 minutes to go in the half.
Now, Syracuse overall has done a good job defensively. They've gotten out the shooters. I say they have to do a better job protecting the paint. I think they can do that. But the first priority's got to be to get the shooters, and they have done that.
Connaughton, good free throw shooter, 81%, highest on the team. That does not include Jeremy Grant, who was at 86%. Such a shame that he made a big academic mistake that was going to cost him this entire season. Notre Dame does expect him to come back this summer, play next year, and graduate. Because with him, they were going to be a very competitive team in the ACC. They were picked 5th out of 15 in the media poll, the ACC preseason. And I think now they'll do well, Jay. Wouldn't you agree, just to get an NIT bid without him?
Yeah, they're 12-10 right now, and they've got some really difficult games coming up. Good pass.
And a dunk by Christmas off the feed from Cooney, who's been the star of the first half.
Well, Trevor Cooney just came off a little floppy set, a single double down low where he could decide which one to come off depending upon how he was being guarded. And that's how he's matured as a player, being able to put it on the floor, draw the defense, and then see a teammate underneath.
Well, Jim Boeheim said the most important thing tonight is we have to defend, and they've defended well. Cooney thought he made it, started retreating to the other end. 1 minute to go in the half. Notre Dame ball down by 10. Atkins, we're not burning this time. Tyler Roberson and off the bench pulled down that rebound. Jim Boeheim did take C.J. Fair out with the 2 fouls.
diagonal up screen, then screen for the screener. Looked like Trevor Cooney got called for an illegal pick.
To the chagrin of Jim Boeheim.
The good news is for Syracuse, they will get the ball back. A lot of college coaches now are going 2 for 1 when the clock is in their favor. Some don't like it because they don't want 2 bad shots instead of 1 good one.
We'll get 2 good shots.
Exactly. Well, that's the hope anyway.
7-second difference between the game clock and the shot clock. Atkins, Astoria, Connaughton, Knight, and Sherman for Mike Bray.
Notre Dame hadn't screened the zone very much.
Astoria, a miss, out of bounds, Syracuse ball. They'll have 11 seconds to get a shot up. If it ends this way, the 18 points will be a low for the season in the first half for Notre Dame.
Let's see Syracuse get a shot off. Looks like he got hit.
Wow! Cooney leading left. Atkins running at him. A fitting end to the first half. Syracuse with 31 points. Cooney has 17 of them. Nearly outscored Notre Dame by himself. At the half, the Orange 31, the Irish 18. Now the Mazda halftime report with Chris, Seth, and Jay.
Thank you, Sean. Mazda halftime. Chris Cotter along with Coach Greenberg, Jay Williams. Let's take you out to Philadelphia. Xavier and number 6 Villanova in action. And early on, it was all about Javon Pinkston filling it up here, Jay.
Or he's a guy that can play inside and out, a great shooting touch from the perimeter, knocking down the wide open Jay dribble penetration.
9 points on 3 3-pointers for Pinkston. Here, James Bell's going to hit one himself. Xavier in danger of losing 3 in a row, trailing Villanova by 7 at the break. In our game right now, Syracuse with a 13-point lead. And, Seth, when you talk about this team coming out, you expected maybe a little hangover after that game on Saturday, and they were sleepwalking a little bit, but Trevor Cooney got him going.
Trevor Cooney got him going, but this is a Syracuse team. They don't blow people out, Jay Will. This is who they are. 7th slowest pace of play team in the country. Why? Because it's hard to attack that zone. You have to probe it. You have to reverse the basketball. And Mike Bray, he wants to control the tempo of the game with his offense anyway. But Trevor Cooney, the volume 3-point shooter when you play Syracuse, you've got to run him off the 3-point line. You've got to make someone else make a 3. Right there, room and rhythm. Cooney's just stepping right into these threes. Over the last 2 games, he's seeing a big basket. He made 3 against Duke this weekend. You're talking about a guy, he's hard to guard when he has room and rhythm. It's an open jumper, let's face it.
We are going to find out everything we need to know about Syracuse in the month of February. And look, I'm not taking away their good wins. They beat teams like Minnesota, Cal, Baylor, and Maui. They beat St. John's at Madison Square Garden. But they have beaten up, Coach, on the lower half of the ACC, at Boston College, at Miami. Couple of tough games there. But you look at the gauntlet they have coming up at UVA, at Pitt, at Duke, at Maryland, at Florida State. This next month is going to say a lot about this basketball team in ACC play.
They hypnotize teams.
Well, one thing that says a lot about Cooney, did you see how deep some of those threes were?
Oh, yeah.
Those are way out there.
Seeing a big basket.
5 of 7 from beyond the arc, 17 points there in the first half. All right, when we come up here next on the Mazda halftime report, that's right, 83, the national championship game. We go back to 92. One of the greatest games Seth and Jay have ever seen. Hash it out coming up next.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by the Quicksilver Card from Capital One. Earn 1.5% cash back on every purchase. And DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. This halftime report is presented by Mazda. It takes conviction, creativity, and courage to build cars worth driving. This is the Mazda way. What do you drive?
Suleiman.
Gotta go there.
And it's hard.
Oh, he tried to jam it for the win. He tried to jam it for the win and flipped it off the back of the rim.
Cook. And Syracuse wins it.
We've had a lot of games in here that have been great, but there's never been a game as good as this one.
Syracuse, the new unanimous #1, and they deserve it. After that big win Saturday in the Carrier Dome against Duke, one of the all-timers. But where does it rank among some of the all-time great games in history? Here to hash it out, presented by Mazda, Jay Williams and Seth Greenberg. Guys, what's the best game you guys ever saw?
Thanks, Chris. Carrier Dome, 35,000 people. College game day, 2 legendary coaches. Great plays, great finishes. But, Jay, will I ask you, what's the best game you ever saw?
Well, Coach, you heard Jim Boeheim say in the post-game interview, there's never been a game as good as this one at the Carrier Dome. Syracuse fans, let me bring it back to March 12th, 2009 at the Madison Square Garden against UConn. The controversial shot with Eric Devendorf, it did not count. This game goes into 6 OTs. How about the final score for Syracuse fans? 127-117. Johnny Flynn, 34 points. Paul Harris, 29 points, 22 rebounds. A.J. Price for UConn playing 61 minutes. Coach, I remember being in studio, drenched in sweat, because the time this game was over, I had popped up and down my seat so much. By far, one of the best games I've ever seen.
Well, I go back to 1992. Duke, Kentucky.
A Duke highlight.
No doubt about it. You're talking about one of the great games in the history of college basketball. Talk about 2 blue blood programs coming down to the last play. Not just any play. A perfect pass, a great catch, and the patience to finish the play by Christian Laettner. Talk about great players. Jamal Mashburn, Bobby Hurley, Grant Hill, and Laettner coming up with the finishing play. End-to-end action, 2 legendary Hall of Fame coaches, and a game that put Duke in the Final Four. Doesn't get any better than that.
Clearly, 2 great games, but neither of you were a part of those games. What's the best game you guys ever played in or coached in, Jay?
Well, unfortunately for Maryland fans, but fortunate enough for me, we go back to 2001, people. It's called the Miracle Minute. I can't tell you what happened. All I know is I got Steve Blake fouled out. Yes, credit to Steve Blake. He had locked me up that entire game. Drew Nicholas gave me a little bunny right there. I was able to get still, knock down a 3. We foul him, goes to the free throw line, misses 2 threes, come down again. We're able to do a miraculous comeback. Nate James gets a tick. Game goes into overtime. We win that game.
Jay, Will, you were balling in that.
I got hot. I don't know what you want from me. I got hot.
You actually played.
I couldn't make a free throw, but a contested 3 I can do.
What about you as a coach?
2011, college game day. You're talking about Duke, Virginia Tech, Castle Coliseum, Digger Phelps, Reese Davis, Jay Billis. And this was a great basketball game, a 40-minute basketball game. Terrell Bell makes a huge 3 right in front of our bench. We get a final game stop. And more importantly, we thought at the end of that basketball game, we were on our way to the NCAA tournament. Dickie V said, get my dancing shoes ready. My 3 daughters right on the floor. I'll tell you, that was a great day for Virginia Tech. Great day for the Greenberg family. Unfortunately, the dancing shoes I bought, I never got a chance to wear.
Well, you're dancing now, my man.
Let's find out what some people said on the on Twitter. And, of course, we always encourage your involvement here. #. Look at Doug McDermott. Jay,
Dougie Fresh. I don't know. Dougie Fresh hit a game winner the other day.
Ooh, the big-time shot.
Agreeing with you in that 6 overtime game there at the Guard. NC State chiming in, and, of course, the 1983 National Championship game. We all remember it, one of the best. You can't argue with that. And then Marty Sullivan, Memphis and Kansas in the Final Four in San Antonio, except for Chalmers hitting that shot, so he must be a Memphis fan. Great game. #hash it out.
This halftime report is presented by Mazda. It takes conviction, creativity, and courage to build cars worth driving. This is the Mazda way. What do you drive? Welcome back to the Mazda Halftime Report.
Over on ESPN2, a little Big 12 action in women's basketball. Kim Mulkey and the 7th-ranked Lady Bears in Oklahoma right now handling the Sooners. Second half from the Carrier Dome coming up.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual, proud to be an official corporate partner of the NCAA, and new Old Spice hair products for hair that gets results.
Welcome back to Big Monday, presented by Verizon. It's the ACC on ESPN. From the Carrier Dome in Syracuse, New York, the new #1 team in the country, the Orange of Syracuse, with a 31-18 lead over Notre Dame at halftime. Sean McDonough and Jay Billis, welcome back inside the Dome. Star of that half by far, Syracuse's Trevor Cooney.
Well, you'd think with C.J. Fair and Jeremy Grant combining for 1 of 9 that Notre Dame might be in pretty good shape, but Trevor Cooney took care of that all by himself. Johnny went 6 of 8 in that first half, 5 of 7 from 3. You can see, guarded by Steve Astoria, the little step back got into his chest, and his form is outstanding. Hand right under the ball, his eyes are on the rim. He doesn't follow the flight of the ball when he releases it, and he goes straight up and down, squares his shoulders. He's got all 10 toes pointed at the rim, and whether he is off the catch or catching it on the run, he sets those feet and sets them quickly. He has done a lot of work on his shooting over the course of his career, and it is paying off. He's one of the great shooters in college basketball.
He had 17 in the half. Notre Dame had 18. That's their second lowest point total in a first half ever under Mike Brey. The previous low was 17 against UConn in March 2010. Atkins off to Vastoria, who lays it in. So a good start to the second half after Syracuse ended the first half on a 9-2 run.
Well, Jeremy Grant has not had a good ball game. He was magnificent on Saturday night against Duke. Had a double-double, 24 points, knocked down 10 free throws. He was very alert and aware, but not alert and aware on that one.
Cooney trying to pick up where he left off. Rakeem Christmas rebounded it, and the second time's a charm for Trevor Cooney.
Sean, anytime there is an offensive rebound, the defensive team has already thought about going back on offense. They are not thinking about playing more defense. And that's the best time to shoot a three, especially for a guy like Trevor Cooney.
Nice move under the hoop by Garrett Sherman. He has 11. We talked so much in recent years about conference realignment. Garrett Sherman's head must be spinning. This is the third different conference he's played in. He started his career at Michigan State, the Big Ten, of course, transferred to Notre Dame. He played in the Big East last year, and now the ACC this year. Can't believe Boeheim's leading Cooney in the game after he misses that shot. Here's Janine.
Well, guys, I spoke to Mike Bray, and he told me he wants his players to start this half the same way they started the game. He said we did a very good job controlling the tempo for about 10 minutes. He said, unfortunately, now I think we're going to have to pick up the pace, which is going to be a double-edged sword because they've turned it over 8 times, and he is not happy about the turnovers, guys.
They're year in and year out under Coach Bray in the top 10 in the country in assist-to-turnover ratio. They are this year. They're number 8 in the country, about an assist and a half for every turnover, but that number's getting worse as the year goes along without Jaren Grant.
They had 20 turnovers against Virginia, which is unusual for a Mike Bray coach team.
Tom Knight, the offensive rebound. That's what Coach Bray says he most needs to do for the Irish. This would have been a family reunion tonight for the Grants. Jeremy Grant, the brother of Jaren Grant. Roberson from the elbow. Freshman who hasn't seen much playing time this year. Only played in 13 of their 21 games prior to tonight.
He came into the Duke game, was able to give Jeremy Grant a little bit of a rest. If he can come in and give some quality minutes, even if it's only 5-6 minutes a game, that can really help the starters.
Jawan Coleman, interior player for the rest of the year with a knee injury. Garrett Sherman scores again for the Irish.
Sherman has done a nice job of staying behind the zone. These wings tend to come up to have to guard some of Notre Dame shooters, and Sherman has really done a good job of flashing in from behind, which can be very difficult to cover.
Fair, the runner, he's still off target. Roberson, good work on the offensive end. He attacked the bucket, then got called for charge as he ran into Tom Knight.
Roberson should have shot that ball. He caught it right around the elbow of the lane. Let's go ahead and put that thing up.
Might be the message from Adrian Autry, one of the fine assistants on Jim Boeheim's staff. Terrific player here. All of the Syracuse coaches, former players here, starting with Coach Boeheim, who played before electricity, and then Mike Hopkins, Adrian Autry, Jerry McNamara. It was more than 50 years ago that Jim Boeheim arrived on this campus. And how about what he was telling us? You think of the history of Syracuse basketball under Boeheim. The national championship, #1 in the country right now. And so many great things have happened here under his direction. Connaughton a three. He told us when he was in high school as a senior, Syracuse lost 27 games in a row. They lost the last 5 of the 1960-61 season and their first 22 the next year. But that's when Dave Bing arrived to help turn things around.
Yeah, Jim said that when they were freshmen, they beat the varsity by what, 50 points?
Before the freshmen could play on the varsity. They said they beat them something like 102-54.
As amazing as anything, he said, was that Dave Bing only averaged 13 points a game in high school. That was hard to believe.
Dave Bing, now the mayor of Detroit, he was here on Saturday night to watch his great friend Jim Boeheim win game number 941. Sherman blocked from behind by Jeremy Grant. Cooney ahead for Ennis. Astoria trying to get back. They lob it up for Grant.
John, that is typical of Syracuse's defense. You think you've got an opening, gets shut off with a block shot. They take it and go the other way and get something easy, turning defense into offense.
Harvey Grant here tonight, dad of Jeremy and Jaron Grant.
Harvey started his career with Horace Grant at Clemson, and then he transferred to Oklahoma.
They're brothers. Horace is the uncle of Jeremy Grant. Eric Atkins from the same neck of the woods. He's from Columbia, Maryland. Jeremy Grant from Bowie, Maryland. Played at DeMatha, that great program.
Atkins had a terrific game against Boston College. And that was a game Notre Dame easily could have lost.
They were 9 down in the second half to a BC team that's had a tough year. Wow! Fair went swooping in to clean up the miss by Grant.
C.J. Fair really did clean up the miss and a little bit cleaned up the mess, because I'm not sure that that was the shot Jeremy Grant should settle for. I think he should put the ball on the deck and take it to the basket.
Sherman. Rebound by Grant. Interesting, Mike Bray told us this morning, Jaron Grant's only about 6'4". He said he has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. But also the family 6'8". Horace, Harvey, Jeremy Grant.
He's the best shooter of the bunch.
Terrific player who will be back for another season at Notre Dame. C.J. Fair just can't get it going tonight. Jeremy Grant. Jim Boeheim wanted a foul, as did the crowd of about 26,000. Pat Connaughton, a little bit off the mark, and then Ennis got knocked down. It's a Notre Dame foul on Derek Sherman, who went over to help Ennis up in a display of good sportsmanship.
Well, Jeremy Grant is a spectacular athlete with the block against Garrett Sherman, and when Syracuse comes away with the ball and passes ahead, he gets rewarded by Tyler Ennis. And his dad, Harvey Grant, who was a great player in college and in the NBA, likes it.
Harvey Grant played 12 years in the NBA, was hoping to watch both of his sons who are still playing college. He had a son, Jure, who played at Clemson. Hoping to watch Jeremy and Jaron play tonight, but Jaron not with the Irish, academically separated from the university. And it's a huge loss. They were 8-4 with him. They're 4-6 without him. The points down by more than 9 per game. He was an excellent three-point shooter. The assists are down. An enormous loss. Only 5 players selected to the preseason All-ACC team in a terrific league. Jaron Grant was one of them. Hard when you lose a player of that caliber.
But there's no question. It takes away a good deal of your scoring. He's a 20-point-a-game scorer. But one of the things that Notre Dame needs to do a better job of as they go through the ACC season is they've got to guard better. I mean, in ACC games, they're giving up 47% shooting to their opponents. And they are getting outshot from the free throw line. They're putting their opponents on the line, so they're fouling and not playing great defense.
Jeremy Grant fouled as he turned to pass. Eric Adkins whistled for the foul. And that is his second.
You really have to watch Trevor Cooney here. He's taking the ball inbounds, and he gets in there quickly and can get a shot up.
TJ Fair. Ennis, Cooney, Fair, Grant, and Musakita. Fair had it taken away by Tom Knight. Atkins with Connaughton, Knight, Vastoria, and Sherman for Notre Dame. 12.5 to go. The Irish within striking distance.
Got to keep it off that baseline. An immediate trap comes, and that's where you find a turnover.
Cooney. Might be a career night for Trevor Cooney. 23 in this one. His career high is 27 earlier this season against Cornell.
Well, Sean, that's what's so hard about this zone. You get along the baseline, you get trapped by that length and athleticism, you throw the ball away. And it's a step-in three-point jump shot for the hottest player in the game, Trevor Cooney.
Astoria turned away from Ennis, and he'll have a chance for an old-fashioned three-point play.
A terrific shot fake by Vastoria, but Cooney has been the story in this one. You leave him open, sets his feet, you might as well count it. He's been tremendous.
Trevor Cooney has tied his career high with 7 three-point field goals made. Led Syracuse to a 9-point lead over Notre Dame. Let's go inside the play with Jay Billis.
Well, Notre Dame gets into the gaps. They draw a defender up, and they're able to get it to Garrick Sherman. He's looking at C.J. Fair, thinking he's just got one defender to deal with, but Jeremy Grant comes from behind to block that away. And once they're able to trapped Tom Knight. He was down on the floor. They turned defense into offense as well and as quickly as any team in the country. And Sean, on the sideline and on the baseline, if you get it down there without something to do with it, you are going to get trapped, and that's going to be another turnover and taking it the other way. They did that a couple plays later. Got Trevor Cooney another step-in three in transition.
Astoria finishes the three-point play. That's 10 points for the freshman. And that is a career high. And we mentioned earlier his previous career was 9 against Duke. So I guess he wants to play the best.
Trevor Cooney is also strong. He was able to knock Astoria completely out of bounds. Just putting his shoulder into him.
Yeah, that redshirt year when he first arrived at Syracuse really helped Trevor Cooney. Spent a lot of that time in the weight room, getting stronger, getting quicker. Play clock about to run out. The shot clock as Ennis fires. Would have been a violation, but Sherman corralled it. 11 minutes to go. Notre Dame with a fighting chance, down by 8. You know who Astoria's coach was in high school? The legendary Speedy Morris. Goes to LaSalle.
He used to do his games when he was with the Explorers.
Atkins a 3.
Notre Dame just hanging around.
Yes, indeed. And you can hear the anxiety in the crowd now as the fans are trying to get themselves back involved.
Got to watch C.J. Fair coming off this baseline double.
C.J. Fair is 2 for 10 from the floor after his tremendous performance against Duke. Now 2 for 11. And the Irish can make it a one-possession game with a score on this trip.
Syracuse is going to have to pick up its defense a little bit and get to shooters. Now, they've been a little bit better on offense.
Connaughton in and out. Great effort on the offensive glass by Sherman.
Anytime this defense gets stretched out, the offensive glass is going to be open. That's one thing that Duke was able to do to Syracuse. Because the defense got stretched to shooters, they got a bunch of offensive rebounds and second chance points.
More than midway through the second half. Notre Dame in position to upset the #1 team in the country. Sherman short. Big trip for the Irish. Had a couple of chances. Couldn't score.
Like Astoria does a nice job with his shot fakes, doesn't he? Keeping the defense off balance.
Well, you know he was well coached in high school. He played for Speedy Morris. Boy, Fair having an awful night. ACC preseason player of the year, averaging 17 points per game. He is 6 tonight. Timeout. Mike Bray. I think if you told him this morning, Jay, they'd be in this position with 9 minutes to go, he'd take it.
Especially after an 18-point first half. He would absolutely take it.
5. Notre Dame's already scored more points here in the second half, 20, than the Irish had in the first half, 18. And what a difference 48 hours makes with the duo of Jeremy Grant and C.J. Fair. They combined for 52 points, a career high for each. Saturday against Duke, they've scored 9 combined tonight.
And they forced a lot of shots and settled for a lot of shots in this ball game.
Astoria having a very nice night playing in front of this big crowd as a freshman. Atkins on the roll. Nice dunks it. And Notre Dame has made it a one-possession game with under 9 minutes to go.
What a pass, and terrific job by Garrett Sherman to occupy the middleman by posting up and ducking in. That freed up Tom Knight on that post dive.
Ennis, he's been quiet as well. Just 4 points for Tyler Ennis. Into the lane. Brian Kersey calls him for an offensive foul using the free arm to try to get rid of the defender.
8:18 to go in regulation. Notre Dame with a chance to tie.
No doubt about the call. He just shoved Atkins away. Jim Boeheim didn't protest at all. A 3-ball would tie it for the Irish. We'll talk about some of the Syracuse stars having a quiet night. Hasn't been a huge night for the Notre Dame standouts. Atkins only 8. Connaughton has been held to 5 points. Atkins for the tie. Wide right. Connaughton kept it alive. It'll be Notre Dame's ball after immediate timeout. Notre Dame trying to upset #1 Syracuse for the second time in 2 years. A lot of emotion from the participants anyway.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Verizon. Reality check. Verizon's 4G LTE is the most reliable and in more places than any other 4G network. And in part by Audi. Truth in engineering.
Big East battle in Philadelphia. Villanova and Xavier coach. Here's James Bell knocking down the 3.
Villanova might not have a low post scorer, but they've got big, physical, athletic wingers.
Bell with 16 points, leading all scorers in that one. Coming up next, Melvin Edgem and Iowa State, couple of ranked teams in the Big 12, traveling to Stillwater to take on Oklahoma State. Coming up here on ESPN. John?
All right, Chris, here in Syracuse, Mike Bray's team has made a game of it. The Orange gone 4 minutes, 25 seconds without a field goal. The Irish within 3. Here's Janine.
Well, guys, Mike Bray just told his team, I have never been prouder of your efforts on defense. He loves the energy that they are showing right now on defense. He loves the fact that they're rebounding. They're going after those first misses. He just wants them to keep this energy and this confidence going. This is a fragile team on confidence, but they've got to bounce in their step right now.
Nice pass underneath tonight by Astoria. It was well defended by the Orange. The shot clock did not reset. Connaughton underneath, and Knight couldn't jam. And offensive basket interference is the signal by Brian Kersey, but now he wants to talk to Jamie Lucky.
Tom Knight hung on to the rim when he went up for that dunk after the ball had come off, and that was the issue. A lot of the energy that's been brought for Notre Dame in this second half has come from Tom Knight, drawing the defense up, and then you can see Knight just hanging on to the rim after that. And that is offensive basket interference.
Mike Brey still applauding the effort. Doesn't want a long delay here with momentum on the side of the Irish, even with that empty trip. Jamie Lucky and Brian Kersey still trying to sort it out.
Well, it should be Syracuse's ball. If he was grabbing onto the rim, Tom Knight, and then he was making a play on the ball as well, that's a violation.
Mike Brey smiling for now. You wonder if he's still going to be smiling after this explanation from Brian Kersey.
I've never really understood. I mean, these are terrific officials, but I've never understood why they have to explain it. Make the call and put the ball in play. You know, referees don't need to explain everything to the coaches. Let's go.
And as you said, they're just going to give the ball to Syracuse here. I think of how many times Mike Brey, Jay, over the years had to kind of reinvent his team due to injuries or players leaving for other reasons. Kyle McElarney was dismissed one year. Trent Francis, back surgery. Luke Herringody, a knee injury. Tim Abramitis, Scott Martin, knee injuries, and he always finds a way to get the best out of whatever he has left. Mike Brey.
Foul. Sherman was just, they call it dislodging.
He lodged and dislodged. And lodged again. Third foul on Sherman. Got a nice night. 13 points.
Sherman's such a skilled player, but he gets really good position. And having Tom Knight in there as his opposite post has really helped him. Knight able to play off of Jeremy Grant, just dare him to shoot.
Jeremy Grant said, I'm going to use my athleticism and go to the basket. Reminiscent of Saturday night. And a couple of the big men fouled out for Duke, and he went to work on Andre Dawkins, who tried valiantly to guard Grant near the basket, but had a hard time doing it. Here comes the crowd back, and now it looks like the officials are going to tighten it up as Christmas returned the favor and tangled with Sherman, who got called for his second foul.
Earlier in the game, Jeremy Grant settled for a jump shot from about 12 to 15 feet, and he has struggled in this game. He's 1 of 6 from the field before that last shot. That made him 2 of 7. But putting it on the deck against Tom Knight is where he's got the advantage, and he took advantage of it. That was a smart play by Jeremy Grant.
Sherman fouled as he spun to the bucket. Third foul on Christmas. Super Tuesday doubleheader tomorrow night at 7. Ohio State at Iowa, and then number 3 Florida hosting Missouri at 9. Both games on ESPN and live on Watch ESPN. Sherman's first went spinning out.
Syracuse is essentially giving Garrick Sherman that short little jumper, but Sherman has done a good job of taking up that space and spinning off it, and still drawing a foul and trying to get to the rim.
14 points and 8 rebounds for Sherman. Could be on his way to a 7th double-double of the year. Did not reach double figures in scoring in their last 2 games against UVA and BC. Cooney, another 3. A career high 8 3 balls for Cooney. Timeout, Notre Dame.
Trevor Cooney, this is why he's such a good player, because he does a good job of changing speeds and setting up his cuts. He's an excellent cutter. You can see him down underneath being guarded by the freshman Vastori. He goes one way, then another, and totally sheds him. And Tom Knight has got to switch out. Now, Knight is not as quick. This is just excellent. You've got one of the things that Vastori is going to learn. It's kind of like guarding Reggie Miller. You got to give him a direction under there. If he's allowed to go one way or another, you've got to force him to go one way. if he's allowed to just pick and choose and set you up like that, he's just going to eat you alive. And Vastoria is an excellent defender for a freshman. So that's something he's going to learn as he gets older. He'll give him a direction and make him go one way.
Trevor Cooney, Wilmington, Delaware, as a Syracuse fan, he idolized Jerry McNamara, who's now one of his coaches, and a great resource for these Syracuse guards, learning from terrific guards like McNamara and Adrian Autry and Mike Hopkins on that coaching staff.
Well, you're thinking the only one that can stop Trevor Cooney right now might be Jeff Gillooly.
Sherman rifled one. Good catch by Vastoria. Tried to bounce it in a night, and it's ripped away by C.J. Fair.
Boy, nice job by Jeremy Grant to cut off that pass. Sean, this has been typical of Syracuse. All great cut.
Oh, he goes inside to score. A career high 28 points for Cooney. McNamara loves it on that bench.
You're so worried about his three-point shooting, and he is an excellent cutter along the baseline. That was really well done. They had run similar cuts earlier in the season. We saw him in Maui against Cal, and you set up a player with your three-point shooting, and all of a sudden you get an easy layup and a three-point play the hard way. That was really well done by Syracuse.
What a night for Cooney. And they've needed all of it, because some of their other standouts have had off nights by their standards. And just as Notre Dame had made it a one-possession game, all of a sudden the Irish down by 10 and running out of time, especially at the pace at which they've been working all night.
Sean, isn't it amazing this year for Syracuse when the game has been on the line, no matter how they've played throughout the course of the game earlier, how good Syracuse has been?
Wow! Talk about a career night. The freshman, Steve Vastoria, out of Medford, New Jersey, rattles home one.
Not worried about having to chase around now. Vastoria's guarding C.J. Fair, but letting that go.
Oh, Cooney. Wow! Sherman fouled. That bailed out a bit. He was surrounded, trying to jam his way to the bucket.
Trevor Cooney has been nothing short of magnificent. 32 points every way you can possibly get him.
Chris Cotter in studio. Just a reminder, coming up here at the top of the hour on ESPN, we got a battle of Gallagher, Iowa. Marcus Smart trying to find a shooting touch. Iowa State and Oklahoma State in about 25 minutes time. So then, back to the Carrier Dome. Sean?
All right, Chris, thank you very much. Syracuse by 10. Time for Did You See That? Brought to you by Verizon.
Well, if you didn't see that, you'll see it again when next time he shoots. 75% from three-point range in this ball game. 9 of 12, 11 of 15 overall for 32 points. And to show he's not a one-trick pony, he's also got 4 steals on the defensive end. And Jerry McNamara, who made a couple of threes in his day from Scranton, Pennsylvania.
He made 400 of them, as a matter of fact, the all-time leader here. But for a single game, Cooney has just tied the Syracuse record, which was shared starting the night by G-Mac, Andy Routens, and James Sutherland. Derek Sherman at the line for the Irish.
You know, it's not like Trevor Cooney's shots have been, you know, him easily stepping into little catch and shoot jumpers. He's been running off the screens and reminds you a little bit of J.J. Redick with the way he runs into shots and has to come off screens to get them. And speaking of that, J.J. Redick's all-time three-point shooting record was just broken by Travis Bader of Oakland. Pretty impressive shooter himself.
Syracuse is going to run down some clock. They took it down to 15 seconds, and then Jim Boeheim called a timeout. ESPN's journey to the tourney continues Thursday with a big battle in the Pac-12. Number 2 Arizona hosting Oregon. That's Thursday night at 9 on ESPN. Also live on Watch ESPN. Not only the loss to California at the buzzer on Saturday night, but a big injury in that game.
Losing Brandon Ashley with a broken foot for the remainder of the year. And Ashley's a versatile player that can step away and knock down a perimeter jumper. A good rebounder and long arm defender. And that really affects Arizona's depth. I'll tell you, Oregon, Joseph Young, he's the son of Michael Young of Phi Slamma Jamma fame. An excellent scorer. Oregon can score, but they got to start defending if they want to be the team that I think they're capable of being.
Down to 10 to shoot. Tyler Ennis, this is usually when he's at his best.
You'd like to get it into Cooney's hands.
Ennis short with a 3, and Fair couldn't run it down.
Cooney's drawing so much attention. If he can get the ball, he can find somebody that's getting open off of the amount of attention he's drawing.
Atkins, Rastori off quickly to Connaughton. Connaughton, count it! And a chance for a three-point play for the pride of Arlington, Massachusetts.
First Vastori and now Connaughton using fakes to get Syracuse's recovering defenders off of the floor. And Rakeem Christmas just needs to stay down until that shot is taken. And then he can go up and challenge it. It's a really smart play by Pat Connaughton.
Terrific two-sport athlete, outstanding pitcher, top prospect in baseball. Eligible to be drafted this year by a Major League Baseball organization. Was drafted out of high school by San Diego, but elected to come to Notre Dame. His future's probably in baseball at some point. Made it a 5-point game. This one looked like Syracuse might pull away. The Irish, as is so often the case through the years under Mike Brey, battle back.
Notre Dame switching.
Fair. Wow, he's just way off. And Keita couldn't save it. He's in for Christmas, who fouled out. And once again, Notre Dame with a chance to make it a one-possession game with 2:25 to go.
And Notre Dame essentially giving Jeremy Grant and C.J. Fair open jump shots and making sure that Bastoria was staying with Trevor Cooney.
Atkins for 3. Sherman there to chip it, but it wouldn't drop. And now Ennis. And you'll guess that Jim Boeheim will pull the plug here and run some clock.
A great opportunity for Eric Atkins off that high screen. Ennis didn't get up to challenge it. Got the look he wanted. You got to knock it down.
And another timeout called by Coach Boeheim. 2 left for each team now. ESPNU has all-day coverage of National Signing Day. Watch the best high school football players from all across the country commit to their universities. ESPNU National Signing Day, 8 a.m. Start of the coverage on ESPNU. Also live on Watch ESPN. And looks like Brian Kelly has a good class coming in, according to our experts. The 11th best right now based on those 22 commitments. Syracuse a 5-point lead, despite the fact that C.J. Fair's been held to a season low 5 points on 2 for 13 shooting. Trevor Cooney has more than filled the void with his career best 32 points. 15 to shoot for Syracuse.
Box and 1. The 1 on Trevor Cooney.
Jeremy Grant underneath to drop it in. And Notre Dame can't play slowly anymore. Timeout. Sherman was in trouble. Mini timeout for Mike Bray.
Well, Notre Dame came out in a box and 1. And when they reversed the ball and got it inside, Jeremy Grant, when he goes to the basket, he is so much better. He can make an open jump shot. It did make them against Duke, but that was against primarily man-to-man defense. And this young man is so athletic and long-armed. He's just a much better player when he's attacking the basket.
Well, Saturday night's showdown here between Syracuse and Duke, the 2 winningest coaches of all time in Division I, Boeheim and Krzyzewski. Both of them over 900 wins. Tonight, it's the winningest coach in the history of the Big East Conference against the 4th winningest, Mike Bray. I don't think a lot of people would know. He is 4th all time in the Big East. Only Boeheim, Calhoun, and John Thompson the Elder ahead of him. Out of bounds, touched by Grant. Notre Dame using up a lot of time here. Only 15 seconds left in the shot clock.
And that's the problem when you go against this zone. It's so hard to get a quick shot. And if you do get a quick one, it's going to be a low percentage long one.
He's about to get Connaughton open for a 3. He's their leading 3-point threat. Cooney right up on him. Patrick's going to try it anyway. Long rebound. And a Notre Dame foul.
I'm not sure it wasn't Cooney or Ennis that fouled.
Oh, it's a Syracuse foul. You're right on Ennis. His second. And Syracuse is over the limit. 1-and-1 opportunity. It's the 9th team foul against the Orange. Well, this will be the last 1-and-1. Everything else at the line for Notre Dame will be 2 the rest of the way. Adkins, 69%, made the front end. The freshman Demetrius Jackson comes back in.
Notre Dame's only got 4 team fouls. So Syracuse has to be strong with the ball because Notre Dame's coming after it. I mean, you want to go after steals, and if you foul, you don't care.
If you're Notre Dame, you have to foul quickly and often.
I think
now
you do.
Because eventually you're going to have to get Syracuse on the line, you would think.
Yeah, I think you do.
Yeah, they do.
But you're going to have, that means you're going to have some opportunities for inbound plays to get a steal, get a turnover. So I think you want to try to get a turnover, but if you don't, you got to foul right away and make them inbound it again.
Syracuse largely won the game against Duke the other night at the line. 26 out of 32. Grant with the ball. He was 10 for 10 from the line Saturday. Ennis was 8 for 8. So many things that were memorable about that game, Jay, but the poise of the young men on both sides with 35,000 people plus in here, the magnitude of the game, the make one big play or one big free throw after another. It really was amazing.
Well, I think as much respect as you had for both those teams coming in and how good they were and could be, you had more respect for them afterwards. I mean, that performance that Duke put on, I think would have beaten any other team in the country on that night. They were fantastic, and Syracuse was just made one or two more plays.
Now Ennis, who was 8 for 8 from the line. I'm not sure if any of them even struck a rim against Duke. They all looked like that one.
I wonder what gets this guy worked up or nervous or gets him to change his expression. He really is amazing.
I think that was what was great about the other night, too, on both sides, Jay. A lot of big plays. Nobody beating their chest, gesturing to the crowd, calling attention to himself. Two teams that play hard and well and were respectful of each other and their teammates. Connaughton a 3. They will not die.
Jim Boeheim really upset with his defense, especially with Jeremy Grant, for not getting out to Pat Connaughton. The one thing that Syracuse could not afford to give up was a 3. You give up a 2, Notre Dame can't make up with this amount of time, can't make enough 2s to beat you. You give up a 3, and that's a lot different. But Astoria did a nice job of getting off of the right sideline where Syracuse was trying to trap him. And once he got it off of there, that was what made the play.
It's a 5-point game. Nice couple of days for Connaughton. You wondered about fatigue for him. He played the full 45 Saturday in South Bend against Boston College in the overtime win for the Irish. Still had the legs to make a huge 3 here. But guess it's more the same now. Go for the quick steal, if not the quick foul.
No question. And if you can get somebody, you don't want to try to foul Tyler Ennis. You want to keep the ball from getting from him or Cooney and get it in the hands of a non-free throw shooter. It gives you a better opportunity. But you're not going to be able to all the time to choose that kind of thing. But I still think Notre Dame has to go for the steal. You go for the steal, give them a chance to turn it over, and in a 3 or 4 second period, get a foul.
40.5 seconds to go. One of the strengths of this #1 team in the country has been free throw shooting. Many years, even with excellent teams, Syracuse has had an adventure from the line. This team has made a lot of big free throws on their way to an undefeated 21-0 start. They handle the Notre Dame pressure, and even though they don't want to, they have to foul Ennis. Connaughton grabbed him.
Looked like they tried to foul C.J. Fair, but just couldn't get it. So he was the guy that caught the initial pass. Jim Boeheim substituting offense for defense.
Benajay goes out by Musakita back in. Ennis missed one. After 8 for 8 the other night, 2 for 2 tonight. 25 seconds to go. Notre Dame down 5. Atkins didn't get the bounce. Big rebound by Fair. He got up for that one and was fouled.
And that's the way Syracuse wants to guard that sequence. You get up on the three-point line, force them to put it on the floor, and finish over size. If they make it, it's still only a 2. But that was textbook of the way Jim Boeheim wants his team to defend with a lead in late game situations. Not an easy runner, and Syracuse there to get the rebound.
C.J. Fair, 70% from the line. That one pops up. 15 seconds to go. Connaughton from long range, wide left. Jackson tipped it to his fellow freshman, but Astoria couldn't handle it. And it looks like Syracuse is going to survive, and this is exactly what Jim Boeheim thought was going to happen tonight. He knew this was going to be a grinder.
Where energy was going to be difficult to generate, the crowd wasn't going to be giving it to you. Hey, they're still gassed from Saturday night, too.
Wow, I believe they just called an intentional foul on Eric Adkins.
I didn't see it, but you can imagine Adkins might have had somebody's shirt. Usually that's the kind of thing that gets whistled intentional in that situation.
Jeremy Grant mentioned that 10 for 10 night from the line. 68% for the year. some speculation at the beginning of the year he really wasn't on anybody's radar in terms of the NBA, not on top of anybody's radar, certainly. You start to hear more and more now about his NBA potential, but that's a loaded draft next year, this coming year. And I think he knows that, and he has the benefit of family members who played in the NBA give him some good advice.
Well, his game's got a long way to go, his skill level. Athletically, I mean, he's built for the NBA. Long-armed, he can run, he can really he can explode off the floor. But I think working on his skill level to where he's prepared to really step in and contribute when he gets there rather than go up there to get paid while he develops.
Jim Boeheim went over to the public address announcer Michael Veely and had an extended conversation. Not quite sure what that's about. Michael Veely, one of the great arena voices in America. Mr. Excitement. Trevor Cooney putting the finishing touches on the biggest scoring night of his career, likely to end with 33 points. Atkins, no. Beecham at the buzzer. They'll count that one. And Syracuse survives. Knew there was the possibility of the hangover to Jim Boeheim after that memorable night. Saturday night, the win against Duke. He knew, having played Notre Dame teams coached by Mike Bray over the years, he was going to get a great effort and a well-coached opponent. And that's what they got. Cooney bailed out some of his teammates who were less than what they usually provide with his 33 points tonight.
Well, it's a sign of a good team when you can win without playing your best. And it's a sign of a great shooter, Trevor Cooney. 33 points. He was outstanding all game long.
He was indeed. 9 out of 12 from three-point land. Here's Janine with Jim Boeheim.
Coach, congratulations. Another great win by your team tonight. The first few minutes of this game, it didn't seem like the energy was there from your guys. What turned it around?
You know, our defense was good. It was our offense. Our offense was bad the first half. We held them to 18 points, and you know they're going to start scoring. The only thing that was good on offense was Trevor. He kept us in the game. It's the first time CJ's had a bad game this year, and, you know, we just weren't prepared for it, and they did a good job on Tyler. Atkins is a tremendous defensive player. You know they're going to hold the ball and be patient with it, and that's what they did. We just lost our offense. We made a couple good plays at the end, which is what we've done all year long. But for this game, it was Trevor Cooney, you know, to the rescue. So we're glad he was out there. Thank you.
And he did get the crowd involved for you. Thank you, Coach. Trevor, congratulations.
Thank you.
What a performance from you tonight. I think you and you alone were responsible for electrifying the crowd tonight, and it was just when your team needed it. What's it like? What's it feel like when the basket is just that big for you?
You know what? I got into a good rhythm early, and my teammates were able to find me. And you know, it's just something different. You get into a good rhythm, and you kind of just get going, and it's definitely a good feeling.
How difficult was it for you guys after that epic game Saturday night to just turn the page and put that behind you on short rest? You didn't even get to savor it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great game, and it was great to play in, but you got to bounce back. The ACC is a great conference. You're going to play great teams like Notre Dame every night. You got to come ready to play, and in the first half we kind of did. The second half we didn't, but we made some big plays at the end that got us to win.
Well, a 32-point night by you. Congratulations. That was epic in and of itself. Congratulations, Trevor.
Thank you very much.
Needed more than half the Syracuse points, and they'll all get a little chance to catch their breath now. They don't play again until Sunday here against Clemson. Very tough schedule left for the Orange down the stretch. They still go to Pitt, to Duke, to Virginia, and Florida State. Iowa State and Oklahoma State coming up as Big Monday continues, presented by Verizon. Final score here, Syracuse 61 and Notre Dame 55. Now for Janine Edwards, Jay Billis, and our terrific crew, led by producer Bo Garrett, director Jeff Evers, Sean McDonough, sending you back to the studio.